Have to leave it there. We're having a few problems with your audio. We'll try and get back to Ed soon. Now, the federal opposition has warned of a looming health disaster in regional and remote communities and is demanding greater transparency on vaccination rates of Indigenous Australians. From the start of the pandemic, Aboriginal people were identified as the clearly defined vulnerable group, and concerns have been raised over low vaccination rates. Joining me live now is Linda Burney. She's the Shadow Minister for Indigenous Australians. Linda, thanks so much for your time this morning. The situation
Good morning, Laura.
in West Dubbo and Walgett is one that gives us great anxiety every day when we see those case numbers. Can you tell us about the situation there and what you know?
Yes, I can. And the other thing that you may not have caught up with is that there is now confirmed cases in the township of Burke and some in the Central West, including Mudgee and Orange. The case numbers are growing exponentially in West Dubbo, and they're growing in Walgett. A majority of the people affected are First Nations people, and about 40% of those people are under the age of 19. It is like watching a slow motion train wreck what is happening in the Western Division of New South Wales.
It certainly is. I didn't know about those cases. So we know there was sewage testing in Burke in particular, and you're now saying there are now confirmed cases in Burke, Mudgee, and where else?
I think the other town is Orange.
Okay.
But there's 2 confirmed cases in Burke. I think there needs to be urgent sewage testing in the township of Wilcannia. Because I would be amazed if there are not cases in Wilcannia as well. What's really important for people watching to understand is that they are very remote communities. They are almost entirely Aboriginal, about 80–85%. They are in rural settings. Some of them have GPs. Some of them have very small hospitals. The hospital, for example, at Walgett has 4 beds. Certainly not in a position to cope with the outbreaks that are going on. And I think the other thing to say, Laura, is there is a lack of coordination, and what really works and what is needed and what people are calling for is for people to go from door to door to deal with the issues of getting vaccines, also screening for COVID, and to overcome the vaccine hesitancy that does exist out there.
It certainly does. It's really concerning about these new cases that you've just brought to our attention. Do you know about the testing rates, the ability for these communities to test it, and what kind of special medical care that they are getting?
I had a long conversation with Mark Burdak from the Rural and Remote Health Service. And the thing that he was pointing out is that there just doesn't seem a central point of coordination. And I think that it would be very wise for the federal and the state government to recognise that if they put somebody in to coordinate all of the people who are expending enormous amounts of effort, including the PENS networks, the Aboriginal Medical Services, the Rural Health Network, individuals, for example. There are so many people out there or organisations, but there just seems to be a lack of coordination. And I think that what would be very useful is a coordinating point, and local government, of course, is doing their best as well.
All right, Linda, we're awaiting that media conference at 11 a.m. We're going to get these questions to the Premier as well, but certainly concerning news in the central west of New South Wales. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Laura.
Let's go back to Afghanistan because an Australian rescue